Alright, everybody. This is Nash here, and I want to apologize for my YouTube hiatus. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it happened. We're going to be moving on, adding content consistently. We got the spring game coming up this week. Going to be having a lot coming out. Now, today we're going to be talking about Kitan Crawford, okay? Kitan Crawford, the reports coming out are huge for this Texas defense, specifically the secondary, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll also talk a little bit about Alfred Collins. Not going to beat the dead horse on that one. I've already shared some thoughts on that. And then we'll talk a little Texas baseball at the very end for those who want to hear it. Quick little shout-out reminder. I and Occupy Left Field, we will be hosting a Twitter space on Twitter. You can find it on my profile. I'll have a link down below. We're going to be hosting that on April 12th at 8 p.m. That is Wednesday at 8 p.m. Come out, listen, talk some ball. We should have some some of the OB dudes, I think, or if they can come by. They're planning to come on by and talk some ball, so should be fun. But without further ado, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment down below your thoughts on Kitan Crawford doing well. I'm really pumped up for this one. But I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I want to offer my condolences to the Golden Blue Dude family on YouTube. He is a West Virginia YouTuber, for those who don't know. And, I like to say, keep tabs with the Big 12 dudes. He was a really nice guy. He had stuff that was out there. His videos were out there sometimes with conference realignment takes, and if you see me smiling, it's remembering, all the fun and the good. But it's sad he's no longer with us. He left behind some kids and a fiance. Wishing all the thoughts and prayers for those people. And yeah, that's all that you can really say on that. We're gonna hop right into this Texas football video. Now, Kitan Crawford doing good. That's what we like to see. Okay. Now, here's what the number one thing I've been consistent on this. Kitan Crawford. If you ever just heard me talk about him on Twitter through some Twitter Spaces and football stuff or anything like that, the reports with Kitan Crawford were, this is a dude who when he's in the right place, he's if not the best safety on the team, one of the best safeties on the team, and this dude's a senior. So this is about the time that you want things to really start to kind of click for guys. And this is a dude who has been a special teams demon for us. I think he actually has a NFL future as an undrafted guy that goes and just grinds, and can just work his way on special teams. Because he's proven to be a special teams demon time and time again. If you remember the Arkansas, that punt that we had, the game would have been completely changed from the get-go. Now, not talking about that 21 Texas team getting out to a big lead and holding it, but game would have been completely different if Kitan Crawford's foot isn't that far out of bounds, It was just barely on the line. He had picked up a muff punt. He's blocking punts. He's, tackling dudes downfield on coverage. He is a special teams demon. And the special teams guys, those are the guys that they prove it. If you're doing good on special teams, you just love football. That's what it is. You're a ball dude. You love to play ball. It is what it is. You're not that diva guy that, I'm not starting at safety, I'm gonna go pout. You're sitting there saying, Coach, put me on the field wherever you want me to be on the field. I'm gonna go balls to the walls. For lack of a better word. Or lack of better words. Now, things are starting to click, it seems like. And not just click, he's still that special teams demon. They said, I believe there was a report saying that he had a block field goal in practice. So that is still the same old, at the very least, we're getting the same old Kitan Crawford that we've had. A dude who is going to be problems for teams on special teams. Now, if you add in, him being a good safety, being a good, and forget about safety, because this is one thing that I want to point out about this defensive back room. You'll hear me talk about it more in depth when I do a defensive back video for the whole room. It feels like we're going back to the Akina days. And what I mean by that, hold on. Hold on. What I mean by going back to the Akina days, it feels like we're going back to the days where we don't have a cornerback. We don't have a safety. We don't have a free safety. We don't have a strong safety. We don't have a box safety. We have defensive backs. Guys that can play safety. Guys that can play corner. They can do that. They can... It's like Akina said, you know. There's like a quote from him in one of those Texas Longhorn football videos. He's like, if you can't cover the most you'll ever see is a tight end at Texas. You know, that's the most you'll ever get. We're going to put you on tight end, and that's it. But going back to those, it feels like we're going back to those days. So that's a little good for the defensive back room. But, yeah, Kitan Crawford. That dude, big guy. He's got a good frame to go out there and lay some wood down. And the depth in this room is insane. And not just depth, senior-laden depth. Look at this. Jalen Catalon, transfer, depth, redshirt senior. So he's a fifth-year senior, okay? Ryan Watts, senior. Jahdae Barron, senior. Jaron Thompson, senior. And if Kitan Crawford is playing at a high level, senior. And here's what the people that actually, like, the reports, so this isn't me saying this. This is like coaches, people around the program. Like I said earlier, when Kitan Crawford is in the right spot, they say he's one of the best, if not the best, safety on the team. It's never been a physicality issue with Kitan Crawford. Never. It's never been that. It has always been up here. Are you in the right spot? And if he's starting to go in the right spot consistently, watch out. Watch out. This Texas... And being in the right spot consistently as a senior, that helps with the younger guys. But to add into the depth, Gavin Holmes, that's a sixth guy that's a junior or above. And it's just, I mean, it is a ton of depth. And, like, seniority depth. And then there's actual talent below that. You got Terrence Brooks, sophomore. Malik Muhammad, freshman. Austin Jordan, sophomore. Jalen Gilbo, that dude's a stud, sophomore. Derek Williams, freshman. B.J. Allen, junior. A redshirt freshman, so technically a sophomore. But we're putting ourselves in a position where we don't need these guys immediately. We can let a B.J. Allen, hey, come along, and then once these guys are gone, hit the field and go, dude. Hit the field and go. So, Kitan Crawford, love to hear that, because at this point, we're going to be able to rotate fresh bodies if this is the truth, if this is the case, that he is like giving us a starter level. And not just when I say starter level, I'm not talking about a guy that's going to go out and get drafted in the NFL draft or anything like that. I'm just talking if he gives us baseline starter level, at the very least with a guy like Jalen Catalon coming back from injury, helps out a ton. And then the one thing that this list does not show, guys like Xavier Bryce, Larry Turner Gooden. Those are really the only two defensive backs that it doesn't show. But still, both young guys. We don't need to see them yet. Don't need to. And when you have this, I'm kind of going into the defensive back video, but when you got this senior depth, you're going to hear me repeat this again. But when you got this senior depth on the back end, this is like the safety's basically now starting to be the quarterback of the defense. It's either linebacker or safety, okay? You saw Eric Weddle, the Baltimore Ravens were kind of the first team to actually start messing around with, hey, let's try and put the safety, because he has the entire field in front of him. And That's where the communication, if you have the best communication at the back end, ooh. And the other thing, the best part about this is it goes along with PK, hand in hand. This is his defense. This is what his defense is going to do. You're going to see his defense. They're going to toughen up in the red zone. They're going to be very experienced and not allow a ton of big plays going over their head. 20-plus yard plays are rare against PK's defense. And when I say 20, I'm just talking about explosive plays because those are the ones that score. And when you stop those and you limit the scores, you put yourself in a good chance to win some ball games. Now, Alfred Collins, he's I've talked about. I mean, that's a dude. That is a dude. Like when you're talking about physicality, okay? Kitan Crawford, he's a physical player. He's good. Alfred Collins is just born with physical traits that just other dudes aren't. He is a big, long, massive human being that can move. And when you do that, when you put all that together, that's it. I mean, this is a guy that you have dudes arguing, is he a defensive end? Is he a defensive tackle? Yeah, is he both? You know? He's probably a defensive tackle. But at the end of the day, I mean, the dude is just, that's how athletic he is. There's a guy that's a defensive tackle that some people are like, hey, maybe throw him on the edge. Maybe throw him on the edge. But with the guys that we got now, we don't need that to happen. But if you add in him, so Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Jamon Tapp. A Tapp is an edge. Vernon Broughton is who I was thinking about. And then you got Alfred Collins. I mean, these are some dudes. These are some big, massive human beings that can move bodies. And I'm really pumped about this Texas football team and what the defense, specifically the defense, because the defense, now I'm not saying we're out there going to win championships, okay, this year. But defense wins championships, and if I'm going to see something that's looking really good, I want it to be the defense. Now, that's going to be it on the Kitan Crawford and Alfred Collins part of the video. Going to be moving on to some baseball talk now. So, if you don't want to listen to baseball, exit's right there. But stay along because hey, if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, you know you got to be a baseball fan too. You got to be a baseball fan too. Well, got the Augie poster up over there. But all right, let's hop right into it. So the Texas Longhorn team just got the series versus Kansas State. Huge series win. Absolutely massive series win. Now, Kansas State, they remind me a lot of an Augie squad, and I'm not saying they're good like Augie squads, but they just remind me of that team. They play a very similar style of ball. I don't think that was a really good team. But those were massive wins. Like, at the end of the day, whether or not that team was a TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State level, no, they're not. But it was a big win. Coming back from down 5-1, getting 5 runs in the 8th inning, massive. That is going to, if Texas makes a postseason run, that is going to end up having implications on our postseason run. Will, 100%, absolutely. That experience in that game will come into play. If you're tuning into tonight's game, we will not be having David Pierce or Eric Kennedy after being thrown out. Not going to go into depth on that because that dude, that umpire, he had me yelling. I'm surprised I got a voice today. But, so we're not going to be having them. I expect to see Ace Whitehead, just like we had Ace Whitehead go out there in center field as soon as Eric Kennedy was out. I expect to see that. Steve Rodriguez at third, and then Cameron Rupp at first. I expect to see all that. Now, Texas State's a good ball club, and this is not going to be any just gimme. Now, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. If we get swept, it's not the end of the world. Focus on conference. We got Baylor and Oklahoma coming up. Those are the 2 lower teams in the conference. Then after that, we get a little bit of a break. I believe there's no midweek games coming up. No, forget what I just said. But after that, then we play TCU, and then we get a little bit of a break in between TCU and Kansas. They might be flip-flopped, but that's where the break is. There's no midweek games in between TCU and Kansas, and those are both on the road. And those are going to be huge. Those are the last two series that really matter for Texas. I'm here to say right now, if we win both those series, unless Oklahoma State just runs the table, we win the conference. We win the conference if we beat Kansas. If we take the series, just take the series versus Kansas and TCU. So that means 4 wins out of those 6 games. And this Texas team is in a really good spot right now as a baseball program. They're in a very good spot, and this is not a spot that a lot of people were predicting in the preseason. A lot of people had this team not like there were people that were like they might be a regional team. They might make it into the regionals. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, the bar for this team, the bar is hosting. If they don't host, it's an upset, it's a disappointment. This season has been a disappointment if the Texas Longhorn team does not end up hosting. That's how well they played. That's the position that they put themselves in. If you've been on Twitter and you've followed me on Twitter, you know, I'm high on guys like Garrett Gilmet, Porter Brown Jr., Eric Kennedy. He's been really kind of not doing well recently. In a slump. This was the word I was trying to find, but he's been good. Okay? He's been good far more often than not. And when he's due, I called it yesterday. He's due. He hit a double. Got 2 runs in. Woo! Love to see it. Now, may have been 1 run, but you got Peyton. At the end of the day, this Texas team, we found out the right roster, okay? Early on, it was error after error after error in Arlington. Oh, if you're a baseball fan, it's just a headache, you know? And there were even errors that weren't scored as errors. They were given as hits. Errors. And the reality is Texas probably should have set a record for the most errors set in a game versus Missouri. But we've worked past that. And I say we. I haven't done shit. I haven't done a damn thing. But this Texas team has worked past that. They found a roster. They found guys that can go in there and get them outs defensively. And not only that, provide solid at-bats. And then we have guys on the bench. We have options. No, I'm not sitting here trying to pump up and say, hey, look, our 7 through 9 hole is like, bam, yeah. No. But at the end of the day, we have multiple options for that 9th hitter. You got Rylan Galvan. That is a dude who is going to be very, very good for Texas by the end of his career, okay? At any moment, he can park the ball. Any moment. Honestly, of all the players, he's the one that looks the most like Ivan Melendez. Just an absolute, to use a Pat McAfee, absolute jock guy, you know? Absolute monster. Big dude, okay? He can park that thing. Then you got Jalen Forrest. A young, and this is the other thing about this Texas team is they're very young, okay? So, next year we're not going to be in the same position where we're, like, it should not be the same position where it was like saying, hey, this Texas team, they lost a lot of production, man, and I don't know if they're going to be able to replace it. Well, we're going to have a ton of young guys in some key spots. Like Jared Thomas. That dude has been a first base. He's been... I would like Gavin Cash. I would. But I'm not going to... You do not see me complain about having Jared Thomas. No, sirree. No. That's another dude who's going to be very, very good. Hot take that might get me thrown off YouTube. I think he could end up being a first baseman like Chance Willis or Brandon Belt. Don't throw the tomatoes. Don't throw the tomatoes. But at the end of the day, this Texas baseball team, they're doing the dang thing. They're surpassing expectations, even my expectations. Now, I mean, my expectations. You also have to look at it through the burnt, you got to put on the burnt orange glasses, and you got to say, you know what, Nash, you're just a massive Texas baseball fan, and the Texas baseball team would have to be pretty bad for you to not be hyping them up. So I'm not going to sit here and thump my chest saying, I had us going to the regionals, I had us hosting, yeah. No, I'm not going to do that, okay? But what I will do is I will say this team, they're putting themselves in position to, and all the people that pay attention to college baseball as a whole that said, hey, this Texas team, they may be like a 4th seed in the regional, but it's not their year. Well, they're just flat out wrong. Hook!